wanna be more like you. Every day, Lord, more like you. I wanna be someone you shine through, Lord, more like you. I wanna be more like you. Every day, Lord, more like you. I wanna be someone you shine through, Lord, more like you. I wanna be more like you. Every day, Lord, more like you. I wanna be someone you shine through, Lord, more like you. I wanna be more like you. Every day, Lord, more like you. I wanna be someone you shine through, Lord, and all more like you. And all the world will see it's you that shine across the world. And though I may fall down, you pick me up, shine across the world. And all the world will see it's you that shine across the world. And though I may fall down, you pick me up, shine across the world.
Time I look to you, I see the world differently because of you. I am free. And every time I look to you, I see the world differently because of you. I am free. 'Cause even though the world passes by, I know your love will never leave my side because of you. 'Cause even though the world passes by, I know your love will never leave my side because of you. I am free. I know your love watches over me to guide me in my everyday because of you. I am free. I know your love watches over me to guide me in my everyday because of you. I am free. Yeah. Even though the world passes by, I know your love will never leave my side because of you. 'Cause even though the world passes by, I know your love will never leave my side because of you. I am free. Every time I look to you, I see the world differently because of you. I am free. And every time I look to you, I see the world differently because of you. I am free. Yeah. Even though the world passes by, I know your love will never leave my side because of you. Even though the world passes by, I know your love will never leave my side because of you.
Expanding Your Search and Stopping for Directions podcast with Brent Bailey. And at the tech booth, Jody Cook-Bailey and Luke Cardiel. We are growing our circles of connections and knowledge together with encouraging conversations and positive communications. And now, Brent Bailey.
And happy Wednesday, everybody, as we get into the backside of the workday here on Hump Day, which means now we are officially halfway to the weekend. And man, such a good day. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Expanding Your Search and Stopping for Directions. I'm Brent Bailey. I'm joined over at the tech booth right now by Jody and Luke. And guys, it's February the 10th, and we're just 10 days and counting away from the big 5-0.
The big 5-0.
For me. It's going to be the big 5-0. I can't even believe that.
I can't either.
I mean, I can remember being a kid and looking back on other people that were 50 and thinking, my God, they're so old.
I agree.
And now I'm getting ready to be that.
I am past that.
Let me give you a good example of this. I remember a few years ago. Now, this was several years ago now. This has probably been 15 maybe. We were in Palm Springs at an Increase event, and there was a gentleman who's the number one home builder for all of Seattle. His name was George Reese. Still a great guy.
Yeah.
We need to have him on the program sometime.
Have George Reese.
George was there, and we were doing part of the Increase event at their house. And he was born in 1950, so I guess this was 21 years ago. He turned 50 in the year 2000.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember that.
So for his 50th birthday, he bought a 1950 Cadillac that had been totally restored.
Yeah.
And so if that was 21 years ago, that would have made me 30?
Yeah.
29?
Yeah,
29 years old. So I guess the older you get, it takes longer to do the
That
math.
must have been our first year.
But one of our first year or so.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
he throws me the keys, and I remember going, wow, 50. That's so old. And I got in the car and drove it around, the Palm Springs area, and it was so cool. And I was like, man, that's just, and now I just think that's not that old.
Do you share a birthday with anybody famous?
Yeah, actually, Charles Barkley
Yes.
and Sidney Poitier for sure. I know have the same day as me.
Okay.
Yeah, which is always cool because Charles Barkley was one of my favorites growing up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
we're 5 days away from Peyton's birthday. He turns 10, and just 9 days away from Preston's birthday.
Yeah.
We celebrate all week long.
We do. Lots
Preston
of
will be 14,
and
so
that's the time we actually do give into our, our food.
yeah.
Cravings.
And we love to talk about food on this
We
show.
do, exactly.
So today I got a great show planned for you before we get to our guest, Jarod O'Flaherty, who is the writer and producer and director of the faith-based crime drama entitled, oh my gosh.
Vindication.
Vindication. Yeah, I just slipped my mind there for a second. We're going to bring him out here in a minute, but
So good.
tell us what days are on the calendar for today.
Well, you're getting ready to turn 50, and I know we've already have this, but it is home warranty day. Now, when you get older,
you got to have that.
got to have a warranty on everything. But today is home warranty day. And so what that means, if you're not sure what that means, it means basically it covers
Stuff that breaks.
That breaks. It's like insurance for the stuff inside
The
the
problem
house.
with it is, though, if you don't go through their steps, they
You
don't
have to
cover
go through
anything.
them. Yes.
I
The
remember
warranty
when we
company.
first moved into our house, we bought our house here, and we were not in it very long, and a capacitor or something went out on the air conditioner.
Oh
Well,
my
it's
gosh.
summertime
It
in
was
Florida. You're
like
not going to wait
July or
2 weeks
August.
while they go
awful.
through all the paperwork. I just went ahead and had it done and submitted for reimbursement, and they said, "No, sir, you don't do that." And I'm like, "But it's wintertime."
Yeah.
I mean, summertime.
Summertime,
in Florida.
we have
There's
to do
no
it.
way we're waiting because it's just impossible.
It was
so
so
it's
hot.
good to have because they do cover a lot of things, but you have to do it their way.
Yes.
Home warranty. That definitely sounds like an old person
It does.
thing.
It does. That's
What
why.
else? What
I
else
said
is
it
an
like
old
that.
person thing? Like bonds.
I
Like
know he's being
investing
really
in-
disrespectful.
Or when
right
you
now.
sit down in a chair and you go, ugh. Yeah.
And you
No,
get
it's
up
not
from
commercial.
the chair. it's
Don't
the
turn into
worst.
your parents. Kind
No,
of
I'm
thing.
thinking like what is it that old people do? They buy you like a
better be
bond, like a
careful.
$50 bond for your birthday or something like that. You know what I mean?
Okay, now you're showing your age because I don't know
Exactly.
anybody that does that anymore.
No.
That was an old timey thing.
Yeah, that's
it
what I'm
was an
saying.
old-timey thing. So so let's move on then, okay?
Yeah.
It's also National Umbrella Day, and this time of year, I mean, we get some good rain. So really, go out and get yourself an extra umbrella, not just having one. We're bad at having umbrellas in the car when we need them. Brent, you're better than I am.
They're there,
but
they're in the back.
In the
and
back,
I have an
and
Escalade, so
so-
I have to get out
yeah.
and walk out in it anyway.
I
and
have
just-
never owned an umbrella the entire time I've lived in Florida.
really, you know what? I'm always like, it's just
I'm
a
not
pain.
surprised by that at all.
You know what's funny is I know we've gone to parks before, and I don't know if it was you or somebody said, let's bring the umbrella into
can't
the park.
bring it in.
You can't bring it in. And I'm like, well, first of all, I don't want to carry it around the park because if we bring it in, it won't rain.
I don't know about
So-
Universal. Disney does not allow it to
Yeah,
bring
'cause
those
it's
things
too
in.
dangerous.
Well,
I'm going
you
to carry anything around with you at the park. It's
Right,
just
right.
horrible.
yeah, because
So-
you're going to carry all the stuff you buy anyway.
Yeah.
But people use umbrellas, not just for rain, but I mean, here in Florida, it's hot.
I saw
and
someplace
you want to
the other day
protect yourself from the sun.
that is like in Dubai or one of those kind of places. They had a giant park with these poles in the middle. I mean, all over the place in a grid. And when the sun gets at its apex, those things unfold and they're giant umbrellas, and the whole park becomes
That's amazing.
Shaded? That's
shaded.
cool.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
And it's not just like a little strip; it's like hundreds of acres.
Yeah.
And they're all wired under. It's really cool. So,
Yeah.
what
So,
else? What else is today?
Our food day is cream cheese brownie day. I've seen brownies made where and you could probably get something like this at
Maybe.
Cheesecake Factory, but you do cream cheese frosting on
Okay.
top,
Okay.
like swirled, but cream cheese brownie. I mean,
I don't know. I'm a little bit confused by that. I don't know if I'd like it or not.
I mean, I think it might taste.
What
good.
are you
I just-
substituting with the cream cheese? Like, what are you taking out in order to put the cream cheese in?
I don't. I'm not sure. I would say
The sugar.
Yeah.
I'm just
or listen, or maybe you can switch it and make a brownie cream cheese, a brownie cheesecake.
If it's cream cheese
I don't know.
frosting, I'm all for it.
Yeah. I think that's those are pretty good, and you can find those in a lot of different stores. So
All right. Well, let's talk about real quick. We got just about 30 seconds, but anybody else have glasses and wear a mask and it fogs
it's
up?
awful. It's awful.
I've been trying to find a solution for that. Now, of course, they make spray that you can spray on, and it kind of puts a film on there so it doesn't fog.
Yeah.
But I just saw online where somebody took some of that first aid tape and just taped the top of your mask down so that it has to go out to the sides instead of coming up to fog your glasses. So that's just a little tip.
Yeah.
that's
Try
cool.
it.
That's
If you don't
smart,
want to go
yeah.
buy the spray, use the tape.
Yeah.
All right. And we try to help around here. Anyway,
We
that's
do.
going on around the country. Let's take a moment right now and expand your search. If you're like me, you really enjoy watching good TV. Unfortunately, during this day and age, a lot of what we see on TV, although it's great story-wise, believers have a hard time finding things that they feel is morally acceptable and doesn't attack their faith and things like that. And so I have been on a kind of a quest of late to find, and I've been successful so far, alternatives to allow Christians to be able to see good quality stories that are shot here in the real world, and they do impact people's lives. And this today is another opportunity to bring you one of those. Our guest today is a native of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Go Big D. His name is Jarod O'Flaherty. He is an award-winning filmmaker behind the crime drama series Vindication, which was released in 2019 on Amazon Prime. I'm halfway through the first season, and it is so good. His previous works include the feature film My Son, the World War II documentary We Were There, and a handful of shorts and music videos. Before we bring him out, let's roll the trailer.
This is the second homicide we've had in 14 months. Are we sure this is a homicide?
My understanding is that there is a concern for safety in the neighborhood, and we're here to help out in any way we can.
The East Bank community remains on edge after the grisly discovery of 2 bodies.
It's an embarrassment. That's what it is. I know you don't have any leads.
What am I looking at?
Has Dad said anything about what's going on at work?
This is off the record. That means you don't talk about it. Okay? You heard from him? Has he tried to reach out to you at all?
Just stop it! Stop being a cop for just 1 minute!
I can't! Guys, move!
Hey, you can't take my phone!
Watch me!
You have no idea what you're getting yourself into.
Do you even want to catch the guy?
I don't understand. It's just unusual.
Maybe God is trying to tell you something.
How do I make it stop?
Please! Hands where I can see him!
As you can tell, it's a good show. Let's welcome to the program right now, Jarod O'Flaherty, everybody. This is Jarod right here. Hey, Jarod, how are you? Good to have you with us today.
Hey, Brent. Yeah, this is fun. Glad I got to be here.
Man, I tell you what, I am loving Vindication so far. I'm only halfway through, so don't give anything away. No spoilers or anything. But I was hooked immediately as I was watching the first episode. I felt like, I was watching a CBS crime drama or on any of the major networks. It was really well shot, and the story was, wow, it was so good. So how'd you come up with Detective Travis, and tell us a little bit behind that?
Yeah, so I'm not a big crime drama watcher myself. I remember the idea came from one night my wife was watching a show, and I just kind of in the room doing my own thing. And I noticed that at the beginning of all these episodes, they would always show you a crime and then spend the next 40, 45 minutes solving that crime. And it just kind of, the idea popped into my head, what if you did one of these where you didn't know what the crime was until the end? So you're watching the investigation unfold. So not only are you trying to find out who done it, but at the same time, you're also wondering, well, what exactly happened? And you would see different things planted. So that idea is what turned into what is now episode 1 of season 1, that episode. And then once we did it, there was demand. There were people that wanted to see more episodes, and that ended up turning into what is now our season 1.
So I don't want to give anything away to the first show, especially kind of threw me, because I was expecting the person who was being investigated of the crime to be the main series, but then the character in the series. But it became Detective Travis and his adventures through being a crime detective. How did you? What was? Tell us a little bit of the story behind Detective Travis.
Yeah, I wish I could say that it was my brilliant idea that came up with the idea to follow this detective, but really it wasn't. I said that first episode we had an idea for it, and then once it reached audiences, they came back and said, hey, we want to see more of these. And I'm like, well, the story's over though, that the guy who was being investigated, we know the outcome. And they said, no, the detective, could he investigate other cases? And that just kind of opened the vision of, oh wow, okay, we could follow this detective. And when you're following a detective, if you want to do an episode about a car chase, you want to do it about rodeo, you want to do it about a soccer team, you want to do it about a celebrity, you have this broad spectrum of ideas that you can follow. Whereas if we had followed the person who's being investigated, he has one job, one family, you're kind of in a much tighter working space. Yeah. So following the detective opened up the opportunity to do lots and lots of storylines, and especially we're doing a season 2 now, so that's what I'm in the middle of. And there's some of my own personal interests that I've been able to put an episode in and say, hey, if we're going to do an episode about football, or we're going to do one about chess, or we're going to do one about a band or whatever, I get to kind of put those in. And with the detective format, we can organically follow different storylines and tell different stories.
Now, a lot of folks would never put a faith-based detective into something that would be, it's not two things that you really cross in your mind, a faith-based crime drama. So let's just ask this simple question. Why should audiences go and check out Vindication with it being such a something that's an unusual combination?
Sure. If I were to tell audiences, hey, we got a crime drama, that's nothing new. Hollywood has been doing those for a long time, some of them running for 10, 15, 20 seasons. And then you have 2 or 3 of them on every single network, and then the streaming service. Crime dramas have been done. It's a very common format. What I would say is different about this is 2 things. One, all the crime dramas that are out there, where are they based? It's either Los Angeles, it's New York, maybe Chicago. It's always these big cities where the majority of our country is made up of small towns, small towns. And you never see a cop show that takes place in the environments that many of us are familiar with. Yeah. So this is the crime drama series. It's not based in the high rises of a big city. It's small town America where there's lots and lots of people can relate to that. So it's different. It's not the same thing that you've seen in all the others. That's the first one. The second one, we call it faith-based or faith-conscious or whatever. Our stories take place in a world where God exists. The answer to every story is not, look deeper within yourself or pick up yourself by your bootstraps and keep. It's in a world where God exists. And for, again, many of us, that's the worldview, that's the world we live in, where the answer isn't always within us, the answer's with him. And so our stories take place in a world that God exists, and he does play a part, is a character within the stories, so to speak. But at the same time, there's some episodes where you go, hey, where was the faith-based part of that? Because we're telling stories, and you go, oh yeah, I saw God show up there, or I saw this happen there. So definitely different from what is out there.
Well, and that brings me to this next question. How do you tell stories that are focused on Christian faith without it becoming preachy? Because that's kind of been the turnoff for Christian cinema, I guess, forever.
Yeah, in going into each episode or each story we want to tell, I don't go in first with a message that I want to get across to the audience. I just don't. A lot of faith-based entertainment, that's what they do. Hey, this is going to be an episode about fatherhood. This is going to be an episode about prayer. This is going to be an episode about faithfulness. This is going to be about trusting God. And we don't go in with a message. We go in and say, hey, we want to tell a good story, but where does God show up in that story? Like many of our lives, many of the stories we tell about things that happen in our lives, we didn't set out to preach a message. We set out to do something, to live life, and then God shows up and does things within that. And that's where these great testimonies and great stories come from. So it's a little bit different approach maybe than what others in faith-based entertainment take. It was posed to me one time, if you're doing 10 episodes, you can do the 10 commandments. And I'm just like, no, I don't want to do that. Right. I don't want to start with that, because what you end up with is a sermon that you try to wrap a story around. And instead we're telling a story, and naturally, hey, where does God appear in those? And so that's our different approach, and I think we've done a good job so far of people not watching and thinking, oh, wow, I just sat through a preacher's sermon. One thing that I appreciate, we came out on Amazon Prime, and there would be some negative reviews in there, typically from people who are antagonists to the faith, or they're atheists, whatever. And they would say, hey, you didn't tell us that this was a Christian show and yada, yada. And it cracks me up, because I know in that first episode, they had to get about 24, 25 minutes into it before they realized it was a Christian show. So it was good enough to keep their attention for those minutes. And then they got in and then realized, oh, wait, hold on. I don't want this. I don't want Christian entertainment. And then went and left an ugly review because of it. So I thought, hey, that means we're doing a good job, that it just from the beginning didn't come across as, oh, this is a church service, let's flip to something else.
And you didn't push it in such a way that it was a church service. I think it's a men's group in the first episode, and it's not even in a church. It's kind of a meeting room somewhere, and he's even battling whether or not he wants to go. And I just thought that was brilliant. But while he was there, God met him in the room, and that was what was so powerful. So, okay, so let's just talk about the filmmaking process. I know, I know everybody probably has their ideas of what the filmmaking process is like, and it would just be so much fun, but it is hard work. What's your favorite part about it, and what's the hardest part about it?
Yeah, so in the filmmaking process, you always start with a script, right? That's like your foundation, like a foundation to a house, If that is not done well, then no matter what you do afterwards, it really doesn't matter. Does that make sense? If you have a bad foundation, you're building a house, you can have all the fanciest stuff inside, but you're going to have problems. So the script is definitely that. For me, my favorite part of the process, I would say, is probably casting, because you've got this script, you've got these storyline, but these characters, you haven't seen them yet. You may have an idea of what they look like, but you haven't seen them. You haven't heard their voice. And then casting begins, where you have people usually taping or auditioning, and they're bringing these characters to life. And I mentioned football earlier. That's kind of my sport that I enjoy following. And it's like drafting your team, you know? It's like I'm drafting the team with this cast. Who are going to be these people? Who's going to work together well? Who are going to be our stars? Who maybe are the weaker spot, you know, and that sort of thing. And it's just a part of the process I enjoy, getting to bring that, put them together. The tough part of that, though, is usually, you know, for us and the episode we're working on now, we had close to 1,000 submissions of people that wanted to be a part of it. And you end up casting 8 of them. That means 900 and however many people you're saying no to. And I don't like that. I'm like, a lot of them are so talented. I'm like, I want to work with you, but then you have to say no. So that part of the process is tough. Definitely getting your foundation, your script done can be excruciating, because to me, something may look wonderful, but then I send it on to producers or reviewers and they come back and say, Jared, that's terrible. That doesn't make sense. It's no good. And so it's a lot of back and forth and a tough part of the process.
I just can't even imagine. Now, do you film in Georgia, in the thriving film community there? Or is that where you do most of the?
We are not. We are in Texas.
You are in Texas, okay.
Yeah.
Which also has a very thriving filming community now.
Yeah, it's up and down. During COVID, I know that some states have been a lot tighter on what you can and can't do, and we, being in Texas, have had a little bit more flexibility to continue shooting. So we've been able to shoot 5 episodes of season 2 during COVID time. Now, of course, there's extra precautions and things we have to consider that we didn't in the past, but I know some states that they have been completely shut down, where they wouldn't have been able to do what we've done.
That's awesome. All right, speaking of season 2, what can we expect without giving away all the spoilers?
Yeah, well, you know I'm not going to give away spoilers.
Spoiler alert! So. No, I'm just kidding.
You get some cast members on here, they might just start. But so season 1, we did a lot of crime of the week format, right? Each episode, you've got a crime and you're kind of trying to solve it or figure out what's going on there. In season 2, we have a lot more interwoven storylines than season 1. So characters that you follow them episode to episode, learn about them, learn about their surroundings, maybe learn about where they're at spiritually, what's going on with them, what their struggles are, what they're trying to accomplish. So a lot of those interwoven storylines. So, you know, you may not care for a couple of characters, but there's going to be others that you like, oh, I really want to see what happens with them, you know, whether it's a romance or a struggle or whatever it may be. You see that. And then as the stories grow on each other, then some things happen to these characters that we've been following. So instead of just crime of the week, you know, someone pops up, then they disappear, there's more of those continuing storylines that I think it's a calculated risk, but I think audiences are going to enjoy that. All
right. When can we expect to see season 2?
So we're doing something unique. Instead of all 10 episodes of season 2 being released at once, the first 5 episodes are going to be released first, and probably as we're working on the back 5, and then those will come out later. I don't know the exact date yet. That's above my head. That's other people make those decisions.
Okay.
But I think sooner rather than later, because the first 5 episodes are shot, they're being finished up, and people want to get it out there because there's been kind of a lull in new entertainment for the last year or so.
Yeah.
And to have something new to put out there, I think it's going to happen rather soon.
All right. Well, folks, I would encourage you to check it out. Vindication is a streaming faith-based crime drama series, and you can watch it right now on Redeem TV, PureFlix, Amazon Prime, and of course on DVD. You can go to the website at vindicationseries.com or follow along on their Instagram at Vindication Series, on Facebook at Vindication Film, and of course you can check out Jared's YouTube channel at Redivision MP. And there's lots of information to follow along there. I highly recommend this show. It is a great Christian faith-based film without being overly preachy. Jared, thank you so much for coming and being on the program. We're so excited. And if you need a 6'5", deep-voiced, handsome man to play a villain or something like that, I'm just throwing my hat in the ring.
Yeah, I was going to say, that sounds like a villain from the description you're giving me. So,
anyway, thanks so much for coming on. Best of luck and God's blessings upon what you're doing.
I appreciate all the kind words about the show, and glad we got to talk. And yeah, same to you.
All right, take care. That's Jarod O'Flaherty, everybody. And now let's stop for directions. You know, as we were listening to Jarod talk about making movies, I was just listening, and I love to hear that people like him and our friend Matt Chastain and Scott Peterson and some other folks that we're going to be having on, and our friends the Sherwoods, and they're making movies that are a tremendous story that God is in the center of. And there is so much to that is imperative for us, because I mean, I have not always been the biggest fan of Christian media because it is so preachy. But I'm so enthralled with some of these movies because they definitely aren't that, but the message is so clear. And Paul said in Philippians that, finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, or if be any praise, think on these things. And I know that we tend to think about the most dominant images in our life. I know that there is a teaching out there that you actually move your life in the direction of your most dominant thoughts. And if our thoughts are, brought about by the surroundings around us and the things that we put in front of us, where is our life headed? Are you headed in the most dominant thought of what the news is telling you? Is your life moving in the direction of what the scientists are telling you? Is your life moving in the direction of what you're seeing on TV? Because if it is, you need to start thinking on other things. And if you say, well, I just watch it for the entertainment, that's great. We have things that we watch here as a family. We love good media. We love good TV. But at the same time, we have to learn and take the time ourselves to think on these kind of things that Paul was talking about. The reason is because it causes our life to move in those directions, because it is the most dominant thoughts that we have. I encourage you today to check out some of these movies and TV shows that we're promoting so that you can begin to build a repertoire of good things to think on. It's going to change your life, I promise. That's going to wrap it up for the show today. I'm so grateful to Jody and to Luke for another great broadcast. I am so thankful to Jarod O'Flaherty for coming on the program and talking to us today about Vindication, the crime drama. Check it out. It's on Amazon Prime right now. You can watch the entire first season. Until next time, I hope you found what you were looking for as you took the time to expand your search and stop for directions. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks for joining us today. Connect with us on @ExpandingYourSearch on Facebook and Instagram, and @ExpandingSearch on Twitter. Relive any of our episodes on YouTube. We're available wherever podcasts are found, including Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You can also download the Direction Ministries app on iOS, Android, Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire. Take some time today to expand your search and stop for directions.